What is a hotel? Hi, I'm Erfan, I'm an architect at Spectrum, and today I want to take you through a journey of the development of the notion of hospitality throughout history. The notion of hospitality has been affected by various factors such as means of transportation, technology, and culture. When we think of hospitality today, we think of reserving a room in a hotel for a business trip or an Airbnb for a vacation. There are notions such as convenience, amenities, and accessibility tied with this notion. However, let's put all these notions aside and let's go to the ancient era. In the ancient times, travel was very hard and gruesome. It would normally take days, weeks, or even months, and it wasn't something that you would do just to have a drink on the beach. In ancient Greece, the notion of xenia was a social framework which regulated the relationship between the host and the guest. By that, every family in a city-state would have a host in another city-state. And it was necessary for the host to provide the utmost services for the guest. Otherwise, they would face the anger of gods. In Rome, hospitality became something more infrastructural and based on the social classes. The emperor would go to his villa, served by his servants and slaves, while there were establishments called kapuna, which provided basic needs for merchants and lower-class citizens, hot food, and a communal room to stay in. In Persia, relay stations made sure that messages from one side of the empire were delivered as fast as possible to the other side. Again, they were very basic spaces, providing spaces for horses and just a roof, shelter to stay at the night. As trade expanded, the need for more effective infrastructure of hospitality for the traveling caravans became essential. And so the relay stations developed into what we know today as the caravanserais. These were fortified complexes, but unlike the relay stations, there were centers for communication and a social hub. They featured a single entry point, a courtyard for the caravans to unload their goods, and also for communal communication between the merchants, and simple rooms around the courtyard. Again, they were providing very basic amenities, much like what was happening in Europe with the development of inns, which were a more developed version of the Roman kapuna. However, parallel to all this, the monasteries also provided hospitality for pilgrims, travelers, and also the sick people, based on religious obligations. Until this point, hospitality was answering only to the basic needs. However, with the introduction of coaches, people were no longer traveling alone, but together. And travel became much more about leisure. And so the coaches developed, which were hosting the coaches, and were providing more elaborate amenities for the travelers. Then came a breakthrough that changed everything: the train. Travel, which would previously take days or weeks, shrank into hours, and the traditional inn became obsolete. Spaces that were previously used for horses or carriages developed into social spaces or lounges or great dining rooms. Further technological advancements furthered this transformation. The elevator, for example, transformed how the levels were perceived. Previously, the top levels in a hotel were less desirable. Now, they became the most highest value ones. Also, with developments in technology and plumbing, communal bathrooms became private comfort. And then in the 20th century, the car again reshaped everything. People were no longer bound to strict schedules or travel routes. And so this gave way to various types of typologies. For example, like the motels, which were convenient and accessible spaces to go with a car and stay over the night. The hospitality, which had become now an industry and a business, evolved with competition to provide not just basic amenities, but an experience. The development of spaces such as large atriums made the hotels become a destination in themselves. Just like art museums or galleries, people would visit the hotel only just to experience the spaces that they provided. With the arrival of airplanes and the globalization, hospitality developed even further, and digital platforms took it into another level. Platforms such as Airbnb gave the opportunity to go and be hosted in the house of a local people in an authentic way that was previously not possible. Today, hospitality continues to expand into exotic and fragile environments to provide a capsule for experiencing the world in a way that cannot be done anywhere else. From large brand hotels in metropolitan areas, which create a space within themselves to experience, to resorts in exotic locations which open outwards towards a world which you cannot experience anywhere else. Hotels are becoming more about experience and sensory feelings rather than just amenities and basic needs. But there are also challenges raised regarding responsibility. As hotels expand to fragile environments, the responsibility of how they affect those environments and the challenges that come with it are being raised. So what comes next? We are already seeing a new generation of hospitality. Hotels that produce more energy than they consume. And they don't just exist in the nature, but they improve it. And most dramatic ideas of all, hotels in outer space, where the lack of gravity completely and dramatically changes the definition of how a room is perceived and how we move through space. So what is a hotel? It's not a building. It never was. It's a reflection of how we move, how we connect, and how we experience the world. The notion of hospitality has evolved with humanity through history. Here at Spectrum Architecture, we don't design in isolation. We design within a context, within a culture, and within a history. Because today, we don't just travel to go somewhere. We travel to feel, to experience, to understand. And so maybe that is the definition of hospitality.